beeping.
Well, we can start getting started.
Start getting started.
Yeah, we can always start. Don't know where people are. We're here. You got doors, Simon. Oh, many doors. Oh, you're in like a hotel room or what?
My bedroom.
Yeah.
There's a big mirror here. I was thinking of playing some games, but...
And a mirror, that's interesting. Yeah.
Seeing myself.
That's cool from the back.
Yeah. Okay. Is it 11 o'clock? It's 11 o'clock.
I'll apologize in advance. I have two young puppies who, if I'm speaking, may occasionally be heard in the background.
No problem.
That's okay.
They're like playing and wrestling with each other.
Yeah. They will add to the conversation. Okay. Oh, yes, Ron.
All right. Hi, Ron. Well, we can start with a quick check-in. How are you actually feeling today, guys? Well, personally, I'm feeling all right. I'm a little bit nervous about this experiment because it's a little maybe harder to make it work than normally. But as it's an experiment, doesn't have to work necessarily. But I'm a little bit worried about it. So it gives me a little bit of a tinkling thing in my stomach. So how are you?
Well, I'm happy that you're so upright about your Mr. Fix-It self and letting him in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. So enough about me. What do you think about me? Oh, well, how do you feel?
I feel happy to be here. I love all of our company, and I think it's neat what you all came up with about the world. I want to be Mother Nature, if that fits in. Though Tim might want to be Mother Nature.
He already is.
Well, we might not pick the most obvious people. That's why it might be more interesting.
Right.
We'll see. So quick check-in from the rest of you. How are you doing?
I'm just having too much fun these days playing with my new puppies.
Are they there? Can we see them?
They're wrestling with each other. They're currently outside. I have 6-month-old golden retrievers now to accompany my 6-year-old golden retriever. So I've named them Hera and Tia. And when they come by, I'll pick them up so you can see them.
Fabulous.
Thanks.
Well, I feel pretty relaxed. Today, it's my first day with What?
Vaccine patch?
Yes, right.
Vaccination.
Yeah, yeah. I have had the vaccinations and everything else. Now this is the patch for nicotine and stop smoking. So day one begins.
High five.
Best wishes, Simon.
Yeah, thank you.
Hello from Brooklyn, New York. I'm on the recovering side of a bad cold I had over the weekend. These weather fluctuations here in New York just killing me. Up and down, up and down. But it's getting better. I need to get more outside nature and get some sunshine, then I'll be good.
I've been on the run, but now I've got myself ensconced in the studio high atop the Lost Eras building in Chicago, high atop the second floor, but they're big floors, so it is pretty high. And so now I can luxuriate in artistic splendor here for a while. And I just got here in time for the meeting, and I just turned my brain off pretty much to plunge in.
I want to quote you, are luxuriating in artistic splendor. I totally love that.
Yeah, I just came up with it. I think it's based on some better known saying, but I'll just stick with it.
Okay, me too.
Okay. Maybe we should do our thing, or Tim, say a few words.
I'll say a couple. Yeah, I had an interesting last couple of hours. Somebody came over, a friend of mine, she's an artist. She was looking for somebody to basically be a model to recreate a pose in an image that Ian Curtis, who is or was the lead singer of a band called Joy Division. She had this really interesting picture of him on stage doing like sort of bending over backwards and doing some kind of weird pose. And she wants to do a picture of it. So I was trying to recreate his pose, but he was 20 years younger than I am now. So I was struggling a little bit, but it was fun. Yeah. And then I just anti-fouled the bottom of my sailing boat. So that's my afternoon so far. All very varied and interesting.
Lovely. All right, and hello, Heidi. We're just finishing our check-ins. If you want to say hello, you're muted.
Yeah, hello. I'm trying out to be outside with the Chromebook, so I'm fine. Back from my Pilates lesson, and I feel like holiday today. It's summer, so.
Okay. All right, good. I'm glad to see all of you. So now to do for our experiment today, you probably read the idea. I don't know if any of you already have tried something like that in real life or not, frankly. So typically it requires being in a physical space together. And typically we pick one person to be the focal point in some fashion. So like here we would probably pick somebody to be the world. And other people become one aspect of the situation or one person that's part of it if it was a particular situation or family. And then essentially intuitively, we sense whatever we can sense from each of those positions, and we feel if maybe we should change position or if there's something we are called or driven to do. So it's not a mental thing. It doesn't require that you know anything about it, like you might be economics or something. You don't need to know anything, but you need to be able to sense in your body what does that feel like and what does it feel like needs to happen. So when one does that in a physical session, it often requires moving around. So like I feel I need to be over behind this other person, or I need to move over here, or I needed some distance. And that's difficult to simulate here. But we can at least express what we sense and somehow find a way of making that work, that we can rearrange the constellation in relation to each other and the situation. We can't move around the windows, anything. So it's a little bit of a challenge, but the main part of it is really to intuitively let go and be willing to let things emerge from the position that you accept. So I'm gonna try to just stay the facilitator unless there's a reason for something else, so I can help it happen. And I think we should start by picking somebody to be the world. And Joachim, you're in the middle of my screen, so that's as good as reason as any. So if you accept the challenge, you are the world, the situation with the world we're in, whatever that means. That's you. And that also means that you won't necessarily directly do anything during the session, but you will pay very close attention to what happens based on what the rest of us are doing. So the rest of us will essentially be aspects of you, and we will rearrange some things a bit, and you will pay attention to how that feels and what happens. And towards the end, you will somehow give us some feedback on how that was for you. Is that okay?
Cool. I welcome my children.
Yes, so we're here with you. And you're very welcome to also make notes or jot things down in the chat or things like that might come up that help sort of keep track of it a little bit. But otherwise, just stay centered in whatever you are and pay attention to what happens. Okay, then we need a few other aspects, and I gave some ideas of it. There could be others depending on what we are inspired to, but somebody probably should be nature or the natural environment in some fashion.
Well, I started to volunteer, then I volunteered Tim, and then you thought we should have somebody that wasn't about that. So
Heidi's got her finger raised. Heidi's got her finger raised.
Yeah, so Heidi.
There we go, perfect.
So Heidi is nature or the environment, whatever we'll call it.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Then we have things like, I wrote money, or we can call it economics. Does anybody want to be money? I'm picking Sam, just because he grinned. Yeah.
Send it all in. Send it all in.
Send it all in. He's ready. He's the banker. Then we have things like military, or whatever that involves, power by violence or physical strengths, military. And we just need somebody for that. Tim would be good, because that's probably not like him at all, but that's now Tim, the top general of the army. We have government. And how about you, Frankie Lee?
Okay.
Government.
Best of.
Yeah. And somebody needs to be the media, and I'm not going to pick Tammy. How about Simon? You're the media. me see, what else can we have? Well, religion is a big thing in the world.
Academia.
So how about Ron? You will be the Pope of religion. And then we need something for Tammy. And Tammy, I just gave a brief set of directions before. The idea is to intuitively follow whatever role we get and how it needs to be rearranged in relation to everybody else. Joachim is the central role of the world. And Mila is here too. Great. So let me see, what else do we have? Well, education in some form, like how we learn. How about that, Tammy? Tammy is education. And then we need something for Mila.
Have we got the citizenry? The people?
Well, it could be something from a left field somehow. Like I wrote a few other things like mind, body, spirit. How about Mila is spirit? She's invisible right now. That kind of makes sense. So if you're okay with that, you are spirit. Okay, and we can repeat the roles once in a while, or when we say something, we can remind the others of what our roles are. But the main thing is that each of you are clear on what your role is.
Yeah, Fleming, can I go through the roles, because I'm the world, you are my children.
So tell us what we are.
So I welcome my children, and I welcome Tim, my military, Heidi, my nature, Mila, my spirit, Sam, my economy, Tammy, my education, Simon, my media, Frankie, my government, and Ron, my religion.
Excellent. And I'm just a facilitator.
Fleming. Yeah, but why can't you be something as well?
I could be something too. So if you want to pick something I could be, that's perfectly fine.
Fun. Fleming can be
How about
fun.
future generations?
Oh yeah, future generations.
Future generations, that's good. I like that very much. Okay. So I'm future generations. Okay, so now essentially we start by each of us getting grounded in the role we're in, where we are, in the position we sense ourselves in the world. And we take a moment to just breathe and connect with that. Not jump to any conclusions or words, but just take a little while and connect with that. And after a little while, we can start seeing what maybe needs to happen.
I am having this guidance as government that I'm just really, really tired. And I've been trying to keep things in order for such a long time. I'd really like to listen to future generations about what they want.
And I notice as future generations that I actually feel quite a profound peace as a basis, that I feel that we, seen from the future, we have worked this out. But coming back to the present moment, sensing that there's a considerable anxiety and many different kind of emotions swirling around, and a little surprised that I feel like I don't necessarily, there's nothing urgent needed to do. That there are things to work through, but there's not necessarily a big missing piece that everybody has to get. It's like the pieces are there. We are going through what we need to go through. Everything is in a certain sense in order. And as future generations, it is all necessary in order to become a mature world, a mature species in harmony with the world and the planet. So I don't have a great need to say very much or give any great advice other than being present.
I, as nature, have a great need to say something because I feel that I do my very best to maintain, yeah, it was always so. And it is so difficult for me to keep up with, sending the birds and fish and the weather. And it is also, I see that my trees are dying. And so many things I really, I'm tired of, and I don't know how long I can go on with that before I really have to take a break, let's say.
As the economy, I feel like as an organism, my arteries are clogged. I don't flow as freely where I need to flow. I'm entrapped in certain very, very small number of caves, and I'm not free to spread myself so that I can nurture nature, so that I can help nature grow, so that I can actually free up the flow of other systems around the world. So there's only like a little toe of me flowing in the world, but the rest of my entire body is all trapped and not serving the world at all.
Let me reflect as the world, what I'm hearing. I feel tired. I feel heavy right now. I feel entrapped. And I need to lift my spirits here, or I need to infuse some aggression here. Maybe the military can help, or maybe I should refer back to my spiritual side. I don't know. No.
I have a message from the media. The medium is the message. It's been said over and over again, but I don't think we're getting that message, that the medium is the message. Perhaps we should all stand up and turn around and begin walking face forward towards the future rather than walking backwards towards the future. Walking backwards towards the future is very convenient and reassuring, because as the distance changes, as the trees recede and the road gets smaller, we'll still recognize it. So we can keep walking, say, oh yeah, this is familiar. I can handle this territory. Even sometimes even looking to the sides, it's okay. But you're walking backwards towards the future. We have to turn around, folks, and walk forward towards the future, which is going to be, of course, a little challenging and a little scary, and we'll have to trust our heart and our gut and then get some help from my intellect in the end as a third party to walk forward. And that's what I feel is the challenge for the world.
I noticed that on my screen, I have in separate corners, opposite corners of the screen, I have the economy and nature for one thing. And in a third corner, I have media. So there are certain things that are split apart that really should have more to do with each other. Like why isn't economy about the flow of nature, the housekeeping of the planet? It's really could and should maybe be the same topic, but it's sort of a disconnected external point of view. So if I could do anything, I would really like to approach the economy to nature, and maybe we need media's help with that, so that media is not about some sensational crazy news that has nothing to do with how the world works in reality. So I would somehow wish for economics and nature and media to approach each other, and nature is sort of already in the right place. So it's probably up to media and economics to move somehow.
Okay, I'm going to try something.
So, my dear future generations, that's wishful thinking. I need something now. I need a boost of energy now.
Maybe we need a war.
Let's start a war. Tim.
Yeah, I'm sick of fighting wars on behalf of money. I'm sick of governments playing games and fucking around with people. I want to fight a war that's a noble war and an honorable war for a real cause. And I'd like to see some real drastic, hard action happening. My heart is exploding in my chest right now, wanting to do something like that. There's so much rage trapped up in lots of people. There's a real sense of wanting to clean up and clear out and kill a lot of the old dead wood and just get rid of it instead of negotiating, talking around stuff and nothing changing. There's a real sense of wanting to just get in there and sort the fucking shit out. And that's what I'm feeling.
Thank you, Tim. I feel it too. Rage against the dying of the light.
Well, as the world's bankers, I love that sense of rage because I love to finance that rage. I love creating new wars. I love creating new conflict. I love creating new weapons. That's what fuels the current system. I love hearing that.
Education over here.
Oh.
I feel a bit schizophrenic today. I've been feeling that for a while. I feel myself in different boxes, and while I'm connected to government and the economy, I feel diminished, and I would like to, in connection with future generations, I would like to be a space of knowledge and wisdom. So perhaps we need to have a war on stupid.
Religion here. I feel the same as ever, and I'm the interface between time and timelessness, and between what is and what has to be done. I'm right in the middle. And I've seen it all before. You ain't seen nothing. I'm the interface between the structured and the unstructured. Time is like time is an endless vibration. It's like a sound, and it's evident in the. We can see the evidence of this on a grand scale in the universe, and the science has. Is anybody here science? No, I guess not. And the science has detected the vibrations left over from the big event about 14 billion years ago in Earth time. So that gong was sounded 14 billion years ago. It's still vibrating with all the miscellaneous nested vibrations that occur within that, just like the different little tracks of vibration that occur in an ordinary gong. And you can also see those patterns in drum vibrations with sand cast on them. So, and this is and that's what we people are part of, and as religion, I'm the interface between all of that and timelessness. And in timelessness, there's no motion. There's no sound, it's silence. I'm the interface between sound and silence.
Thank you, religion.
And thank you, the world. I just wanted to mention that I think science just showed up, like a little late to the party, but I'm going to assign science to Harry. So hopefully science is working on something, and whenever science feels that it has some input and some feelings about the situation in the world, Joachim represents the world, and we're each different aspects. Heidi is nature. Harry is now science. So science can feel free to prepare a paper whenever it's appropriate. And now back to you, the world.
Thank you, future generation, and welcome, my child, science. So back to religion. Thank you for taking the long-term perspective. That really calms me down. I've been around for billions of years, so we're just a speck of time here coming together. There are other dimensions that we have to wonder and consider. So thank you, religion.
I'd like to speak for the best of government. We've government's been getting a pretty bad rap lately because we've had so much attention on federal government and elitism in government. There's really a lot of great aspects of government that you all could be grouping up with if we put our attention on like local government, for instance, and mayors who come from local areas and actually live there and care, and diplomats who are dedicated to lifetimes of getting to know one another and making it work. So I'm not very good at innovation, and people keep thinking I should be. But if we can understand my nature, I'm really good at supporting causes and things that people come up with matched funds. So maybe we could start to sort of team up in ways like the economy with the best of government, not assume that government should be a be all and end all, but understand my nature so that you can get the benefits, and we can start to create from this present time place what we really want to create in the world.
Cool. And a few words from nature.
Yeah, I'm feeling really waiting and sort of nervous and feeling that what all the other voices say is not really relevant to my problem. I need really soon some help to keep doing what I'm doing, because otherwise I will change completely. And I don't want to. I have created all this beauty, and I'm the basis of every one of you. And I feel that I'm getting less and less, and I cannot nurture you anymore if you don't hurry up a little bit.
Hi, this is Science speaking. I just would like to inform you that all the answers are already available. But I'm kind of, what is the word? Trapped by the financial system, so I am not free to speak whatever I did. So I have all the knowledge, but I need some freedom to kind of spread it and have a good communication with you all.
Thank you, science. Maybe we can connect science with nature and engineer.
Let me remind you all that, and I am interrupting here, that it's all about making money, okay? So I'm not going to let you do that. You know, let's just give you a little bit of time to reflect on the fact that all that's important is today, okay? Just make sure you're enjoying your television shows, you're actually enjoying your economic systems, and, you know, the little money that you've got, you can go down to Costco. Forget tomorrow, okay? It'll take care of itself.
Right, but you have to work with government, okay? You see what kind of mess you created? Government has to be involved, and a new way of government.
There's also knowledge for a different system of finances. For instance, the knowledge is there.
I'd like to learn I'd like to listen to nature and work with science and media to create a space where we're truly all learning together how we can listen to nature, use science, and communicate that message so that we can learn together.
Right. Our future generations will love that point of view.
Exactly. The future generations were about to say something about that, that it is sort of striking coming back here and seeing that here we have it divided up into these completely abstract topics, as if economics is something different from nature, from force, from education, from government. And we're sitting in each our little box in our separate little room and talking for the one thing that we represent. Whereas it's quite obvious, or it feels obvious looking back from the future, that the answer is all of it interwoven together. It's the connections, it's the communication channels, the interweaving of all of these different things. Like, we need a sense of economics, a connection with nature. We need to use force wisely. We need to govern it well. We need to believe in something. We need to share knowledge and communicate, and we need to understand science and what's real and what works. And we need to communicate. So it's this interconnection between all the boxes. And I hear some of that coming out, and I just want to really appreciate that, this sense of that the answer is beyond the boxes. It's somehow in the root network or the interconnection, and we each, without being separate, we still each have a piece of that puzzle, or whatever we call it, or a piece of that overall organism. If we can just figure out to get over our words and our titles and our entitlement to be controlling things, the answer or the way forward is clearly here somewhere.
I feel like a river where, instead of flowing freely, every little place I flow, everyone's trying to dig a trench, a cistern, to capture me, to still me, to stop me from flowing. And it comes from this sense that there's not enough of me. If everybody realized that there's enough of me to go around, then instead of little holes where I'm going to get trapped, I can just flow through every other being or every other system. And that would allow me, as the economy, to help fertilize whatever it is that needs fertilization. If it needs a little bit of capital to get started, if it needs a little bit of watering to stay alive, that's what I'm here for. But I'm trapped right now. I am hopeful that there are people now thinking, rather than selfish little beings with their own self-interest in part, they're now thinking that there are other beings out there that also need to be taken care of, to be understood. Although I still think that's a very, very, very small part of what's actually active in the world today. So I'm looking to be freed up, but I don't sense that it's happening very quickly right now.
Yeah, you're way too physical economy. You are trapped in these large physical institutions. You need to be digitized. We need science to help you out getting out of your trap and move into some cryptocurrencies and get the flow going. Where's my science?
Cryptocurrency is just another form of money. It's more about that. It's not as much as about money as a system. It's about ownership and those concepts that we need to get more knowledge of spread. It's the fact that we only can perceive ourselves through each other's eyes. So we need to communicate and to connect and use that knowledge that's emerging, like networks and online conversations and stuff like that.
That's what future generations said.
Okay. I just popped in here.
No, it's very good. I have a sense that the military complex, for one, is not just going to let us do this. I'm not sure the military really cares that we would like the economy to just flow like nature and all be friends or anything. I mean, then we don't need a military, or what?
The military are my pawns.
I'd like everybody to understand and acknowledge that the luxury they have to even sit here and have this conversation comes about because the world and the way it's been divided up in terms of resources is very unequal. And in order for certain parts of the world, certain cultures and nations to have more and to develop their sciences, their economies, their education, their whole way of life, it requires other people in the world to have very little. And to maintain that imbalance, you require people on the ground killing each other. And I would like people to acknowledge that people are giving their lives so that we can have this kind of conversation. That's the first thing that I would like to say. And the second thing I'd like to say is that there is inherent in us, especially when we're younger, a desire to be a warrior and to fight for something just and good and true and noble. And this is a very important part of the human condition, and it needs to have a healthy outlet. And I would like to see a world where the warrior phase of life is honored and revered and given space and time to be what it needs to be.
Acknowledged that our ability to meet here and do many of the things we do depend on a system that in which many people are unnecessarily suffering and dying.
Science says this is bullshit.
Well, I was, maybe that fits in was what I was trying to figure out how to add, is that, I mean, as a practical matter, for example, I've thought of this before. When I, probably speaking as Ron more than religion, but when I go to the grocery store, I mean, I've been around long enough to know that somewhere in that chain of production and transportation and storing, and all of that, there is a certain amount of corruption. I'm pretty sure that there's a fair amount of, without actually going to court to prove it, that there's a certain amount of, for example, of criminal graft and participation in the food I buy. It doesn't stop me from buying it, though. And well, geez, it's, and I don't know how to make the connection, but it's even in nature, there's, I would say there's about 1/3 death and destruction is part of nature. Maybe that's where the science would agree with what I'm trying to say. And maybe we're just a reflection of that. And we are nature. Even in our tall buildings and our machines, and that's nature. And what's unfair about, we want to make it so that it's not so unfair, even to the point that people are dying because of the unfairness. So, you know, personally, what I decided to do, I think a long time ago, is to, on the one hand, work one-on-one, and on the other hand, to try to influence things beneficially, to provide some degree of improvement. In other words, not really as an overt activist, somebody once cornered me specifically after it was a meeting in this local area of an artists group. And so we walked out of the gallery and the guy said, so what kind of activist are you? And I didn't even know we were talking about activism. It was just a meeting of artists who are active in the community. And up until then, I'd been resisting this. I didn't want the label of artist.
Ron,
Yeah.
as government, I'm feeling very uncomfortable with your being Ron rather than religion, but you sound a lot like religion to me. Kind of, you know, like speaking for, as if for, you know, just an individual, but as if it applies to everybody. Something's making me very angry and frustrated.
I'm hoping that it does apply to everybody. Oh, but what's the angry part?
Pardon me? I just feel like things are being taken to chaos.
Yeah.
And I was feeling like we were going towards something that could allow everyone to be heard and to participate. And I feel like it's gone away from that.
Is it just a question of time?
No.
Well, let's find a way of getting back to it. So maybe we be quiet for a moment and see how we can realign things a little bit.
Fleming, Ron just did it. Or at least for me, anyway. And by the way, science is just another religion from where I'm sitting.
Well, then, speaking of the economy, it's the weakest religion. It's the one that's having a tough time taking hold.
I need to come back what you said earlier, Tim. We need a warrior spirit here. I'm going to hear from the spirit. See what we can do to fight our internal fights.
Can Mila talk? She's
Yes.
texting. There.
Spirit is smiling. Spirit is sensing the past, the future in the now, in the present. Spirit is listening deeply in all the conversations where the profound love and compassion resides. Smiling patiently, breathing life to raise awareness of that love and compassion. Spirit feels disconnected and only feels connected to the future generation. So the warrior that Spirit wants to bring is the warrior of love and compassion with a smile.
Thank you, Spirit.
So now if we look at or imagine that it's really 5 minutes to midnight or till the end of this meeting, we're all here, we have all the components, most of them, or access to them. So what do we do in these last few minutes? Do we talk about it? Do we change something? What needs to happen now?
Spirit asks, is there anything that needs to happen now? Is everything that needs to happen now is actually happening?
I'd like to hear from Mother Nature about what the loveliness that she comes representing that we could learn from. I feel like we're missing out, and rather than trying to fix her or mend her, we could actually listen to her and follow her ways.
Yeah, thank you, government, because I wanted to jump in and say that I'm highly frustrated. I don't feel seen and I don't feel listened to and not considered at all. It's all about everything else and blah, 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 blah. But the focus should be me, because I am the ground of your existence, of everybody else. Without me, nothing can live. Maybe spirit could live, but not even religion, economy, education, warriors. Nobody could live. The world could live in some way, but, you know, nothing which has to do with humans could live, or with animals, or whatever. So without taking care of me, it's futile what you're doing. So I see that everybody's going in their own sort of direction and trying to do a little bit, but not focusing on the basis, on the basics of life, which I am. And so I need to do a last appel, I don't know how you say that, a claim or last cry out to everyone. Take care of me, otherwise you destroy yourself.
Yeah, I'd like to unleash a fierce war of love on behalf of Mother Earth.
Spirit agrees.
I'd like to learn from nature and share that knowledge with all of the children and the adults.
The only motive or motif that's going to work is love, and it's personal. It's each individual, and of course it's everyone together.
So future generations are happy that this is moving. And at this point, I think we would like to hear from the world how things have evolved and changed and what has happened over the last hour, and what does it feel like where that leaves us now. So the world.
Thank you, my child. Thank you, my children. I see hope. I see light at the end of the tunnel. I see we're finally starting to wake up a little bit. And I see deep reminders in you, where we came from, our long, long history, and where we're going into the future. So I do see we are beginning to build a bridge between these two. You know, I felt tired at the beginning. I felt heavy at the beginning. I felt distressed at the beginning, but now this gives me real hope. And if we work on it hard, I think we can get there. So thank you, my children.
Thank you, world, and all its aspects. And now it would be nice if we could use just a few minutes of meta discussion. How did this work as an experiment, this constellation thing? How did you like it? What did you think happened? Do you think it's useful?
Love it.
I really enjoyed representing government for the best of what it is. These are, attributes that I've learned over time, but I felt like I was able to really step inside of it, both with the, like, here's my actual, nature, and also get what Jocelyn did. It's like, I felt like I really could embody it, and it was a process This was one of my very favorite calls. I feel like we all really blend.
Yeah. Could people maybe mute themselves when they're not speaking?
I, at the beginning, felt, sorry I was late. I really did feel that separation, and it was interesting to feel everyone and feel there was less confusion, and I was able to feel more. So I think it was a great experiment just in terms of switching perspectives and being able to embody something that's maybe not natural to us, and seeing it split up, and then you know, having it kind of come together as something that's a collection of the whole. So I loved this one.
I liked it too, and I'm sorry science came in so late.
Symbolic.
Working late at the lab last night.
A small aside, on December of 2009, I wrote up a product concept and have been pursuing it ever since, called Global Sim, which is an attempt to run simulations like this, although with multiple iterations and refinement and with other kinds of assistance. So I think that somewhere in this approach is a key to how we think better collaboratively, how we make decisions together collaboratively, how we act collaboratively. And I think as one step in this direction of experiments, it only hints, barely hints at the power of this kind of approach. And I think that this kind of approach is extremely powerful if we learn to do this over time and get better at it and get more and more people providing alternate thinking and learning how to interact and recognize those subsystems interacting with each other. And so I actually very much enjoyed this as well. But I hesitate to think that we would only do this experiment once.
I wanted to say that for me it was more voice dialogue than constellation, because we are connecting with only with view and with words, while in constellation I find it so important to feel the nearness and the movement, how the movements go, you know. But I altogether I was amazed how it works, really. I find it a good thing to try out more often. So really great, thank you.
Yeah, agree with Heidi. I've used this offline as well as virtually quite a few times. And it always amazes me what comes up, something quite surprising. And with the emotions one that we shared, I think if this was an emotional constellation that really shows up for us in our stories rather than in our heads and coming from our bodies, I think that would work well too.
So, do we feel as a group that we are beginning to turn around and walk forward into the future, or into the unknown, or into the ever growing present? How does anybody feel that we are starting to do that we're not taking ourselves for granted, that our thoughts, feelings, and ideas are rooted in very good background of scientific, religious, philosophical, spiritual knowledge, and therefore we don't need to change anything?
I think we are.
I think we're learning and growing.
I think we're in emergence, continuously growing.
I
We're
feel
the
like
ones we've been waiting
the
for.
emphasis on Mother Nature really wants to come much more to the fore and the center. That I was surprised when Heidi first started representing Mother Nature as so completely kind of forlorn. And as I watched her through the process, I felt like we didn't get very far with her, and that it's so integral to bring Mother Nature into the center. So I just want to really emphasize that for us individually, for us as a group, for humanity, that it's the aliveness that we can really source and the wisdom.
And to add to that, Frankie, I've been myself nature, and I've seen others in constellation as nature. And each one of us had exactly similar reaction, even in body, because after being nature in a real life constellation, it took me a week to get out of the feeling of heaviness. And that was the same with another person who took the role of nature that I saw. So it seems to be something very, very strong when you do embody nature.
Wow.
So as the world, I think we started to learn to walk backwards to the future. And by that I mean we looked at each other and listened and talked about it, rather than each one of us walking forward on its own path. Well done.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Any other last minute remark before we end, Tim?
I think we're an ongoing emergency.
SOS.
Emergency.
One last reaction. As business and economy, it felt so unnatural to represent a more collective and more future-oriented perspective. It felt very natural to just reflect that, hey, system as currently exists is working great. You know, I'm making profits. You know, it's working for the people that control me. It's going to be very hard for this system, the economy, to adapt to something more sustainable and more thrivable. The current system is just too ingrained and too easy to sustain.
And the current system is designed by all of us. So we're part of the problem and part of the solution. So it's up to us to make those changes.
And as education, I feel like I've learned something. I've learned a lot of things, but more than anything, I've learned that it's difficult to hold all of these things together at the same time. And I need help to be able to build that capacity from all of you.
Yes. And it looks like you have some help around the room here. Unless there are any other urgent last remarks, I think this is probably a good point to end. We'll have a short planning session afterwards, very short. But otherwise, thank you all for coming, both on behalf of future generations and as myself. I was very happy with this experiment as well. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of it, and see you all next time.
Thank you. The world out.
Blessings.